ladies and gentlemen, I want to invite you to get ready to receive oh shoot, I knew I was going to mess this up. Shalmina Abji. I said it perfectly when I met her. Shalmina Abji. And in fact, I was saying it as I walked around my kitchen about an hour ago. She is fascinating. Let me tell you that this woman is an author. She is an empowerment speaker. She is an angel investor. She is a board member. She is a distinguished alumni who is passionate and committed to helping women rise up. But her story is fascinating. Her humble beginnings started in Tanzania, where as a young girl at 15 years old, she decided to leave home to lift herself and her family out of poverty. She did so, and she became educated. And her first job was in the tech space, where she was desperately underrepresented in that male dominated profession. She was underrepresented in the field of tech. She was undereducated compared to others. She was underprivileged in her economic status, and she was deeply underproficient in the language and the culture. These unders. A lifetime ago, being an underdog, but no more. These unders caused her to undermine her capability and undervalue her opinion and underestimate her worth. And I tell you, she learned much from this experience of deficiency, and she rose. I swear, it needs to be a screenplay. It needs to be we're going to see this as a movie one day. Suffice to say that she became she had an esteemed career at IBM. She became the first in her family with a college degree, one of the highest ranking women of color at IBM, while raising two children at 2 and 4 years old. She started as a software engineer, went to sales, then sales leadership, and then led global business teams over multiple sectors, delivered $1 billion in revenue with high client satisfaction and high team morale. She has been on the decision-making board of hundreds of promotion and hiring decisions of professionals. And her influence has literally impacted thousands of the careers of thousands of women. In June, I am buying your book. In June, I think your publisher house is McGraw-Hill. She has written and authored this book, Show Your Worth: 8 Intentional Strategies for Women to Emerge as Leaders at Work. I'm buying it. I can hardly wait to read it. I can't believe you're here. We are happy and humbled to have you here. Please, with nothing further from me, please welcome Shalmina Abji.
Well, thank you, Nancy. That was a very kind and generous introduction. I really appreciate it. It is a distinct honor and privilege to partner with Chaitra. I have watched her tirelessly work to empower other women. And I am telling you, the time is right now. I am telling you that we need to seize this opportunity where corporations clearly see that while having women leaders in their executive team and frankly everywhere in their leadership team, it's not just corporate social responsibility, it actually impacts their bottom line. So there is opportunity out there, and my talk today is going to equip you to seize that opportunity to show your worth and to advance your career. Before I get started, I would like a commitment from you. And the reason I ask you to give me a commitment is, my career was in technology, 29 years in technology, and I went to so many conferences like this. But I will tell you, while I was energized at the conference, I even wrote down what I learned. I was committed to applying what I had learned. But then when I went to work the following week, I got busy doing whatever it is that I was doing. You know, there are a million things that come our way, and it's very easy to fall into a routine and to continue to do what you're doing. But if you don't change your behavior after you hear a keynote speaker or Chaitra, if you don't change your behavior, your results will not change. And so the commitment I would like from you is to take one or two insights, something that resonates deeply with you as I'm speaking, and that you will apply those insights in your day to day work. You will put a reminder on your calendar every week or every 2 weeks to make sure that you don't fall into autopilot and that you truly apply these insights. You know why? Because when I didn't apply those insights, 6 months later, it didn't matter whether I went to that conference or not. I didn't really benefit from it. And I want you to benefit from it because with you, I have an agenda, a personal agenda to create gender equality in leadership roles. And I need you to be my change agents. I want to share with you what has not only worked for me to rise up the corporate ladder, as Nancy so well put, especially coming from where I came from. I know if you become strategic and if you become intentional and if you resolve to make sure nothing derails you off your track, I promise you that together we can create gender equality in leadership roles. So I would like you to make a commitment. You know, if I was speaking in person, I would not start my keynote until I saw every hand go up. But I can't see hands going up. But I put in the chat, tell me that you're committed, get a partner and make sure that they hold you accountable and responsible for applying these insights and making sure you are changing your behavior. All right. I see some commitments. I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much. So now that I have this commitment from you, I would like to share three insights with you. My book is going to cover 8 intentional strategies, but in the time frame that I have, I'm going to share 3 intentional strategies. And I'm going to share with you how I learned these strategies. You know, when I look back at my career, I often wonder if I would have known what I knew later in my career, if I would have known that early in my career, God knows where I would have been. But there were no books written by women when I was coming up the corporate ladder. There were not so many people that looked like me in the room that I could learn from, that I could lean on. And so it took me a few trials, errors, you know, failures, getting up, dusting myself off, learning, getting better, slowly but surely. I learned all these insights as I progressed in my career. And I want to share all of these insights with you. I want to share all of these insights with every woman that is entering the workforce because over 50% of the workforce are women. We have more advanced degrees than men do. We get better results in college. And yet, when we enter the workforce, the game changes. But we continue to work hard, put our nose to the grind, say yes to everything, aspire to be liked, and all these things that made us successful prior to the workforce will not necessarily make you successful. So I'm going to share with you what will, and I'm also going to share with you how I learned. So as Nancy mentioned, I was the first person in my family to obtain a college degree. My first degree was actually mathematics, a degree in mathematics from India. And I went to India from Tanzania because that was the least expensive way to obtain a college degree. But after I obtained my college degree in mathematics, I realized it wasn't going to pay me enough to lift myself and my family out of poverty. So that's what brought me to the United States. I went to Wisconsin University of Wisconsin in La Crosse. I got a degree in computer science. I was on a student visa, and so I only had 1 year of what's called a practical training visa. And this is a visa that's granted to foreign students so they can get some experience. Even though I was on the dean's list, while I was working 35, 40 hours a week trying to pay for my tuition, I couldn't even get anyone to interview me because of my visa status. After hundreds of inquiries, I found one company, which was a startup company. And so, you women in cloud that are starting companies, your work is so important because you will be able to provide opportunities to the young Shalmina and make their careers like ETA Systems made mine. There was just one company called ETA Systems. They hired me, and they offered me $27,000 a year. This was more money than my parents could make in 10 years. And I was ecstatic. I thought I was going to lift myself and my family out of poverty. This was my golden opportunity. But what happened is, soon after I started work, I realized that there were not too many people. Actually, there wasn't anyone that looked like me in my team or in my leadership role or in my senior leaderships. I looked around, no one spoke like me, no one looked like me. And as Nancy mentioned, I started undermining myself. I saw myself as an underrepresented minority, undereducated, underexperienced. And all these unders created this mental chatter in my own head that made me undermine my own self. And as a result, I was afraid to speak up. I had convinced myself that there was nothing I would know that the rest of the people didn't know. They were all more educated, more experienced. What could I bring to the table? And so I do a great job on my project, but when I was in meetings, I would be afraid to speak up. But I also knew that if I didn't create enough value, enough unique value, if my company could hire someone else to do what I was doing, my dream of lifting myself and my family out of poverty would be very short lived. So I had to figure out a way to create value, to create unique value. And so I emerged from my unders. Actually have a TEDx talk that I have done about how you can not let your fear stop you from speaking up. That's not the topic of today's conversation, but if you have that fear of speaking up, I encourage you to watch that TED talk. Eventually, what I learned is that the reason my company hired me was because of the value I was creating. And that is the first insight I want to leave with you. Your first strategy to success is to intentionally create value. The more unique the value, the more essential you become to your corporation. So bring your full self. Internalize your competence. Don't play under, don't undermine yourself. Internalize your competence and use that competence to create value, intentionally create value in all your interactions, whether they are with your peers, your managers, your bosses, your senior executives, your clients, your employees, all your stakeholders. Every day when you go into work, every meeting, when you go into that meeting, set an intention to create value at your maximum capacity. When you do that, you will progress towards success, achievement, performance every single day. Not only will that happen, but people will recognize that whenever you are in a meeting or even a one on one conversation, you are always seeking to add value. So you will start getting invited to these important meetings where decisions are being made. It is so important to be known as someone that is always seeking to add value, regardless of where they are, regardless of your interaction. So, the first strategy that will advance your career, that will enable you to show your worth, is for you to internalize your competence, know who you are, and create value at every possible opportunity in all your interactions. The second strategy, which is actually the first chapter in my book, is what really started me on the path to leadership. And let me share with you what that was. So, when I was working with ETA systems, after I figured out my competency, intentional value every day, I was being rated well. They extended my visa, got my green card. And then 3.5 years later, ETA shut down. But by now, I had a green card. And so I had lots of companies that were interested in hiring me. I chose to go work for IBM at the time. Really happy doing what I was doing. But because of my personal reasons, I moved from programming into systems engineering. And when I did that, and I didn't plan this because I wasn't smart enough at that time, but when I did that, I was leading with more of my competence, more of my inner strengths, and that allowed me to create value that completely surpassed even my expectations. And I received this award, a highly coveted award called the Rookie Systems Engineer of the Year. And this was 2 years into my IBM career. As a result of that award, I went to some great recognition events, but the most important thing is I was invited to a women's roundtable. And this roundtable was headed by our general manager at the time, Susan Whitney, who sat at the head of this oval mahogany table. I was just dazzled by her. Her diamond earrings, her purple dress. I still remember what she was wearing, her intelligence, her grace, her command over the room and over herself. I was in awe, just completely in awe. My manager's manager had asked me to walk her back to his office after the conference ended. And in those 3 minutes, Susan first turned to me and said, "Congratulations, Shalmina, for winning such a prestigious award." And I'm thinking, wow, she knows my name. This is amazing. I'm even more impressed. And then, just like someone would ask someone their restaurant preference, she says, "Where do you want to be in the next 5 years?" And I looked at her and I said, I, I don't know. I haven't thought about that. I get so busy creating value and doing the best job that I can in my current role. I don't really think about where I want to be next. And what she said changed my career forever. She said, Shalmina, it is very important to do the best possible job in your current job, but it is equally important to know where you want to go next and next. That way, you're always moving towards something bigger than your current job. And that's what started me on this path of intentionally defining what success means to me 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. Because when you do that, you won't sweat the small stuff. You will not allow the small challenges of every day to derail you, because you will be on a track to go somewhere. There is no force in this world that can derail you when you know what you want and who you are. So, the second insight is I would like all of you to intentionally define what success means to you. You can change this definition whenever you want, but you've got to have a definition. It needs to be your definition, not something that someone else is expecting of you, that society is expecting you. Because trust me, this journey to leadership is going to be hard. And if you are chasing somebody else's dream, you will give up. But when you're chasing your dream, there is no power in this world strong enough to derail you.
Oh,
So,
Shalmina, with all my heart, I love that. Create your unique value, define success, and I can't let you leave, despite our time being over a little bit. I can't let you leave without hearing your third insight. Please share,
Thank you.
and then
And the third,
we'll get the panel.
thank you. And the third insight is actually related to the first two, and it's called intentional branding. I want you to become intentional about defining your personal brand. Your personal brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And Nancy, I
Mhm.
didn't learn about the importance of this until I got promoted. When I got promoted and when I was in the room where other promotions were being discussed, where stock options are being discussed, where recognition is being discussed, the conversation that happens around the room determines who gets it. The gravity of your personal brand is so big, it is so strong. Most of us women don't understand that. And then when we don't take the time to intentionally define how we want to be viewed, what we want other people to talk about us when we are not in the room, unfortunately we get defined by others. But
Ah,
when you know what you want, when you define, and you saw that with Judge Jackson's hearing last week, she did not let anyone define how she was going to behave, no matter how hard they tried to derail her. She knew the impressions she wanted to leave behind, and she did exactly that.
ah,
So I'm going to wrap up
powerful.
really quickly. If you intentionally define what success means to you,
Yes.
and you become the person. This is not about leaving behind impressions of someone you're not. This is about becoming the person you want to become, that deserves to be where you want to be in the next 5 years. And then showing up every single day, not just to create value at your maximum capacity, but to build and reinforce your leadership brand. You will become unstoppable. Nancy, I will take just one more minute to wrap this up,
Sure.
because ladies, when you advance in your careers, when you rise up that ladder, you are not just doing this for yourself. You are doing this for all the other women that are watching you. Your mere presence will become an inspiration. You will create a rising tide that will lift so many boats, and together we will create gender equality at every level. And Chaitra, when she started, she talked about, and this is not just a problem in STEM and technology, this is a problem everywhere. Less than 10% of us are in senior executive roles. This should not be acceptable to us. The world is ready for us. We need to prepare ourselves to seize that opportunity and make sure that together, we achieve gender equality in leadership roles. With that, I thank you for your attention, your time, and for this opportunity.
You just drop that mic for me, would you? Thank you so much. We so appreciate the fact that you're here. We loved your wisdom and your experience and what you have brought to this day. We're so grateful. On behalf of Women in Cloud, let's look at the love in that chat. Thank you. Look at Lorena for giving us the recap of your three insights. Thank you.